Good morning, everybody. Today is 3rd of January. My name is Sahil, and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, in the today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper as well as also will be taking up the good articles from the Indian Express Explained section. And meanwhile, the PDF that I will be using here, you can download the PDF from our Telegram channel. The link for the channel has been given in description box. First of all, let's see the overview of the important articles to understand that what is relevant for our exam and what is not relevant. So first of all, we'll see the Indian Express explained section, and the first article that we can see here, it talks about China's border law and the implications that will be there on the India. So we will be seeing little bit comprehensively that what this particular article pertains to. Then further, Omicron causes the milder disease. Fine. Now this particular thing is not important for your examination, being because that this particular kind of entire detail is very evolutionary thing, not very much relevant for your examination. Then developing the Trincomalee oil tank farm, what the deal means for India, Sri Lanka. Now already this entire article we have seen into the Saturday's newspaper analysis, where the basically the Lanka IOCL has been given a mandate to develop some of the oil farms along with the Sri Lanka. Earlier, sole farms were also being operated by the Lanka IOCL. Now, guys, this particular thing becomes important because the year 2021 was not very momentous in terms of the India and Sri Lanka economic relations, but this particular deal will be adding positively into this particular direction. So that is all it. Fine. Further moving on, guys. After that, we reach to the Hindu newspaper. So in the Hindu newspaper, we can see that the first article, it talks about the 8 lakh rupees income reasonable cap for EWS quota. Now into this particular line, this entire controversy will be understanding. Important article for our examination. Then the census first phase NPR data collection deferred till September. So guys, the census of 2021 that was to be released has been deferred again and again because of the rising number of COVID-19 cases. The last census 2011 happened, but now it is being deferred. Fine. So that is just kind of a thing that has been there. Fine. After that, moving on into this particular direction. Fine. Then as we move, we reach to the city section, and into the city section, the first article, the here we can see one article where the Yuva scheme has been mentioned. Now this Yuva scheme can be used in our examination as a case study in GS paper number 2. We'll see this particular thing, what it is all about. Then High Court allows the women to terminate 28-week pregnancy. So with respect to the women rights, this particular issue will also be seen. Then further moving on into this particular direction. So guys, as we move, then the regional section, etc., much of the important things are not there. Now here you see this thing, two plant species discovered in Kerala. Fine. So here we can see that these are the two plant species that have been discovered in the Kerala. Now, I will not recommend that you go and take a note of all the species that are being discovered, because guys, when we see that India has two of the biogeographical realms, that is the Palearctic and Malayan. Then we have the then we have the hotspots. Fine. So basically, what my message is that the plant species, hundreds of plant species are being discovered every year, hundreds, and in fact many a times more than that also are there. So practically you cannot keep account of these plant species. However, there are, let's say, some animal species particularly pertaining to some of vulnerable category or such kind of a thing, then we need to see. So just I hope that you got this message. Then further moving on, we reach to the editorial page. The first article talks about the NSP. Now, what is this NSP? The NSP, it is the National Security Policy of the Pakistan. Is it clear? Now, this guys is the National Security Policy of the Pakistan that has been released. Find what are its components, etc., that has been mentioned. Now, with respect to our UPSC examination, find the National Security Policy of Pakistan is not important. Is it clear? National Security of Pakistan is not important for our examination. Fine. Moreover, guys, with respect to the India-centric issues, find much of the direct things are also not given in too much into this particular article. Then moving on, the state schemes, what the government can learn from it, a very good article we'll see with respect to the social justice part of our GS paper number 2. Good article. Then guys, further moving on into this particular thing. Now the Election Commission of India must ensure the free election process. Now you know this particular thing, that the rising number of cases are there, but at the same time the elections in some of the important states and some of the big states are scheduled. Fine. Now into this particular direction, it has been said that we need to make sure that just the elections is not becoming a kind of a event which becomes the super spreader of the cases. Fine. So Election Commission of India needs to tread very carefully. Such thing has been given here. Then further moving on, the patchwork policy. What has happened? Basically, there is a rollback of tax hikes onto the textiles items. Fine. Now we have seen already that there is a GST council which decides that on which item taxes will be increased, on which item taxes will be reduced. So guys, what had happened? Basically, the GST council, it has rolled back the hike onto the textile items. Fine. Now I will not recommend you to go and read these particular articles. Why? Because guys, these are just kind of a day-to-day development. Now by the time your examination will be coming, all these things have already been happened and the trends will be drastically be changing. So just that is a kind of a thing. Then from selective to the universal engagement. And now this particular article talks about the 2021 and what were the foreign policy trends of India. Now into this direction already we have seen one article, but this article also will be seeing that what has happened. Then the crypto asset conundrum. So it is talking about the crypto assets. Then guys, the transport projects not on track. Now this particular article, it is talking about the Telangana government, that how Telangana government is it is not very much focused onto the metro rail projects. Is it clear? So just that kind of a thing has been talked about. So too specific to the Telangana, and even in the Telangana too specific article to the Hyderabad. So a kind of a very microscopic kind of a detail is there. Fine. So therefore not very much important for your examination. Fine. However, if you are from the Hyderabad or Telangana, you can read it for your own understanding. Fine. Then further moving on into this particular direction, EWS income criteria. Fine. EWS income criteria will take this particular article. Then further moving on into this particular direction, guys, then the political news etc has been mentioned. Please avoid it, not relevant for your examination. Then further, the draft national air sports policy has been discussed. So briefly we'll see that what it is talking about. Pakistan breached the ceasefire pact, and now guys, 2003 ceasefire agreement between the India and Pakistan was signed, and after that hundreds of the times ceasefire agreement has been violated, ceasefire pact has been violated by the Pakistan. Again it has been done. However, please don't see, because guys, every year hundreds of time it is happening, so you cannot keep a tab on it. Then the Taliban promises to keep the embassies safe. Now see what has happened. We know this thing that into the Afghanistan the Taliban has taken over. Now as the Taliban has taken over, the world countries, majority of them, particularly the western countries, had cut their ties from the Afghanistan. But now guys, the Afghanistan is facing an economic crisis, because many of the money of the Afghanistan, the accounts have been frozen, particularly by the US and the Europe. Now the Taliban, they need money for the successful for running the economy, for giving the aid to the people, for giving food to the people. So into this particular thing, now the humanitarian aids are coming, and India has also provided that okay, we will provide the humanitarian aid, which will consist some of the medicines, the wheat etc will be provided. Now the Taliban is asking the world countries that okay, you please open your embassies here and we'll keep these embassies safe. So just that kind of a thing is there. Further guys, moving on into this particular direction, House panel on marriage age only one woman is MP. So guys, what had happened, the parliamentary committee, fine, you know this particular thing, we have taken it in a lot of detail in our newspaper analysis also, that now the proposal has been given that the women's age for marriage should be increased from 18 years at present to 21 years. There is a prohibition of child marriage act is there, in which the age is right now 18 years, it is to be increased to 21 years. So, fine, right? The last year there was the Jaya Jetli panel, there was a Jaya Jetli committee that actually recommended that such increase in age from 18 to 21 years is to be done. Into this particular direction, the bill was raised into the winter session, fine, which has just been concluded. However, now it has been decided that okay, we will be referring this particular bill to an parliamentary to a parliamentary committee. Now into this particular committee, guys, it has been provided that there are 31 members into this committee, but out of these 31 members, only one women MP is there. So you are deciding the future of the women, but only one women MP out of the 31. It is not showing the gender sensitive composure of this particular committee. Fine. So gender sensitive composure is not there. So just that kind of a thing is there, you need to understand it. Then further moving on, after that, the adolescents registering for the vaccination etc, numbers etc etc. Not important for your examination. Fine. Then guys, further moving on, after that we reach to the world page, and here the India and China overture into the LAC etc. has been mentioned. So we'll see this particular article along with the Indian Express article. Then further, fire ravages South African parliament. Not important, not important for your exam. Then we have the money wise page. Today as Monday is there, on Monday we don't have the business page, we have a money wise page, and this money wise page contains the investing advice etc. Now this investing etc. not important for your UPSC, so please avoid this also. Then further we reach to the sports page. Is it clear? So guys, this is all about the overview of the important articles, and as I had earlier also said, you knowing this is also very much important, because you need to know what is to be seen and what is not to be seen. That is all about. And now let's take the analysis of the important and relevant articles one by one into the detail. Fine. Now starting with the GS quote, as we do in every class. So today we'll be taking the quote from the Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela, he says, to deny people their human right is to deny their very humanity. To deny people their human right is to deny their very humanity. So the humanity, the essence of the human being is consisted into their rights, and in no circumstances some of the natural rights should be denied to the human, because if the rights will be denied, their entire essence, their entire existence is being denied to them. Even this particular thing has been upheld in the 1948 United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, where certain rights have been called as inalienable. Fine. So they are to be given. Now this particular thing guys, you can utilize in your GS paper number 2, GS paper number 4, fine, as well as into the essays also. Such quote we can utilize it. So that is all about this. And now let's take the first article. Meanwhile, good morning to everybody. Good morning Manju, Shivani, Pallavi. Good morning to everybody. Now taking up the first article. So guys, here what we have done, we have actually clubbed the two articles. One is from the Indian Express explained section, and another is the from the Hindu newspaper, the world page. Now these two articles will be important for our GS paper number 2 under the international relation, and under the international relation, the policies of the neighbor. Fine. The India's neighbors, we will be seeing this particular article. Now let's take this particular article. So guys, first of all, what has happened and which has been the talk of the town, it is this, that the standing committee of the China's National People's Congress. Now the standing committee of China's National People Congress, it is a very high profile committee. Fine. It takes many of the important decisions in context of the China's national policies, as well as in many of other matters also. So the standing committee of China, it has basically it has passed the law for the protection and exploitation of the country's land border areas. Now what the China is talking about, China has provided that now our most important concern is to protect our land boundaries, and particularly the border areas we need to protect. Now guys, into this particular thing, what China has provided, first of all, let's see this particular thing. Now this new law that has come, this new law mandates, just a minute. Now, yes, the new law that has come, this new law mandates that the China will take all the measures to strengthen their border defense. They will support the economic and social development into the border areas. They will open up the border areas. They will improve the public services into the border areas. Infrastructure, fine, will encourage the people's life, people work, economic opportunities will be provided to the people living into the border areas. So basically they want to enhance the infrastructure. They want to give support to the people. Moreover guys, into the border areas, the China also wants to increase the habitations, and into this particular direction, basically the China had provided that the villages will be developed into the border areas. Now this particular thing guys had a lot of implications. All these implications we will be understanding, but before going into these implications, let's understand the context in which this bill is being introduced. So guys, the context, it is happening at a time where number one, the standoff in the eastern Ladakh is going on. Fine. In 2020, the standoff between the India and China in the Ladakh started. The Galwan Valley episode is there, and still many of the patrolling points are the ones on which earlier the India was patrolling onto them, but China is not allowing India to patrol onto these patrolling points. So a lot of confrontation is going into the Ladakh, number one. Number two guys, what had happened, now the China is manufacturing the dispute into the Arunachal Pradesh also. Now if you are following our newspaper analysis regularly, we have seen just 2-3 days back that what had happened, the China had renamed 15 places into the Arunachal Pradesh. The 15 places had shown into the Chinese maps. Now, the giving them the Chinese names means that the China is saying that these 15 places into the Arunachal Pradesh, they actually belong to the China. And not only the cities and towns are there, rather the mountains, the rivers, the passes have also been given the Chinese name. So after the Ladakh, number 2 is that the China is manufacturing the confrontation in Arunachal Pradesh. Then guys, the third issue that had happened, we had seen this also, that now the Chinese embassy had sent the notice to the Indian MPs, including one minister, when they attended the dinner hosted by the Tibetan government in exile. Fine, the Chinese embassy said the notice to the Indian parliamentarians, which is not going in spirit of the normal conventions. Fine, so that is the thing that has happened, because guys, sending a direct notice to the MPs was not a way. Rather, this particular thing should have been raised to through a proper channel. So into this particular context, this law has been passed where the China will be controlling more of their border areas. Now guys, this particular thing will have a lot of implications. Implication number 1, fine, the implication number 1 will be this, that guys, now the China had provided this particular thing, that any construction of permanent infrastructure along with the border will be carried only after taking the China's permission. Now you know this particular thing, that the China's has become very aggressive onto the border areas, and in order to protect India, in order to protect ourselves, we need to upgrade our infrastructure onto the borders. We need to develop the airstrips, we need to develop the bases there, and a lot of things were to be upgraded. But if the China has a permission, we need to take, obviously China will never be giving the permission. So in a way, what has happened, basically the India will not be able to upgrade the strategic infrastructure. If we upgrade it without asking China, again it will become a ground of confrontation. It will have a lot of problem here. Then guys, after that guys, the next thing that is the implication of this particular thing is this, that now the China will be developing the model villages for the civilians into the border areas. China will now develop the model villages for the civilian into the border areas. Now guys, these villages are being developed now, and there are the reports that many of the villages have been developed into the Arunachal Pradesh by the China already. And not they are just being developed, rather they are being given a lot of they are also being publicized also. Here we can see that the last year the President Xi Jinping visited a village in the Tibet near the border with the Arunachal Pradesh. Why he visited there? Because these villages are being publicized, because the high profile delegations will be there, and China will show that yes, these villages are the part of China. And now the Chinas want to build the villages into the border areas. Many a times they are also intending to build the villages into the Arunachal Pradesh. So this particular policy formalizes this particular step also. Is it clear? Moreover guys, if see, the villages will be developed along the LAC or the international border. If let's say in future there is some kind of a confrontation, some kind of a skirmish that happens between the China and India, India will not be able to give the offensive because of the civilian population that will be living into these particular villages. So all these particular issues have been there. Fine, so all these implications will be there. Fine, I'll paraphrase it again just in 5-10 seconds. Number 1, India will not be able to upgrade the infrastructure because Chinese permission is to be taken. Secondly, China will populate the border areas in order to show their claim onto the disputed region. Thirdly, India's offensive will not be effective into the future because the civilian population, if it will be living there, India's hands will be little bit tied. Fine. Now the question comes that okay, why the China is doing this particular thing, why China is passing all these particular laws? The number 1 reason for this particular thing is that guys, actually it has been said that now China is passing these particular laws and it is becoming very protective over the bordering areas. It is because of the instability that has come into this particular region within the Central Asia. After the withdrawal of the USA, the Taliban had taken over, and now the Taliban might be giving refuge to many of the terrorist organizations. It might also spread the terrorism into the entire Central Asian region, and the implication of that particular thing can happen into the Xinjiang region of the China. So the China's Xinjiang region, which is already seeing a kind of terrorist activities, and basically the region is very unpopular, so the Xinjiang region might have some implications. So therefore, to guard that such region, the China is passing the law. Second reason that comes here is the domestic politics. Now understand this domestic politics. Now this particular year, the Xi Jinping will seek his third term. Now, as Xi Jinping is seeking the third term, Xi Jinping needs to appease to the Chinese people. And guys, today, what is the number one thing by which you can appease the people of any country? That is nationalism. Now, it is all being promoted as an attempt to showcase the nationalism. Is it clear? Moreover, China wants to look very strong, and into this capacity also, such things are being done. So it might have a political factor also. Then, guys, thirdly, see this particular thing. When we see the China's land boundaries, China has the third largest land boundary with the India. Now, China's longest boundaries or the biggest boundaries are with the Mongolia and the Russia, and after the Mongolia and Russia, third comes is the India. Fine. And guys, with the India, the China's land boundary is disputed also. When we talk about the disputed land boundaries of China, with only two countries, China's land boundary is disputed. One is the Bhutan and other is the India. Now, guys, India's the third largest boundary. Number one, India third largest boundary. Second, India's boundary is also the disputed one. So it is a kind of a signal that has been given to the India. So this is also the reason that China had brought out this particular policy. Then, so all these things are happening which don't show a very good kind of a picture or good relation, but there are certain sweet spots also into this particular direction. What are the sweet spots? The sweet spot is this, that though many of the confrontations are there, but guys, regularly the both of the sides are talking with each other, which shows that there is a desire to seek the stability into the relations. Moreover, there was the exchange of the sweets also between the India and China onto the New Year's Day. This particular thing also shows this thing. Moreover, guys, the basically the Indian ambassador to the China, when he got retired a few days back, he was also given a kind of a heartwarming farewell by the China. So these are certain sweet spots that are also into this particular direction, which shows that nothing, all is not ended, and still some leverage can be achieved into this particular thing. So that is all, guys, about this particular issue. A very comprehensive coverage, fine, and a very well covered kind of article which covers all the angles, all the corners related to our examination. Please be very careful. So that is about it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, this particular article taken from the Hindu newspaper, what it reads, it says rupees 8 lakh income reasonable cap for EWS quota, center tells Supreme Court. Fine. Now this particular article, guys, will be important for our GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, issues related to the affirmative action. Issues related to the affirmative action, or you can call it as issues related to the reservation policy. Guys, understand this particular thing, that please use the term affirmative action. Now, what is this affirmative action? Guys, affirmative action can be called as the group of, or it can be called as an umbrella term by which the government, the state tries to give equity and justice to the people. Within the affirmative action, giving scholarship, giving reservation, giving preferential treatment to one particular section, or the positive treatment to one particular section, positive discrimination, all these things will come into the affirmative action. Within the affirmative action, there is one reservation policy that is given. So I hope that this particular thing is clear. Now, guys, see this particular thing. You know that in India, the affirmative action is to be given in order to bring the equity. Reservations are to be given in order to bring the equity. Fine. Now, already we know this particular thing, that guys, the reservations were being given in India to the SCs and STs. The reservation is given. The OBCs, they were also given the reservation after the recommendation which was given by the Mandela committee. So, number one, let's understand first of all the background. Let's understand the background. So the guys, background goes like this. Let's see. We give the reservation to the scheduled caste. We give the reservation to the scheduled tribe. We give the reservation to the other backward classes. So scheduled classes, we give the reservation 15%. Scheduled caste, we give 15%. Scheduled tribes, we give the reservation of 7.5%. And OBCs, we give the reservation of 27%. Now the OBCs have been given the reservation in 1990 after the recommendation of Mandela Commission that came in 1980. So the 1980 Mandela Commission recommended that reservation should be given to OBCs. Then 1990 finally they were given how much? 27%. In total, how much reservation is being given? In total, the reservation is given, that is the 49.5%. Why 49.5%? The reason is that the reservation should not exceed 50%, because if it will exceed 50%, then the general category people, against them the discrimination will happen. So it has been said that okay, reservation should stay within the 50% limit, and this particular thing was ruled by the Indra Sahni judgment also. Indra Sahani judgment, fine, or the Mandal case, this particular thing was ruled that 49.5% reservation should be there. Okay, so this is guys the reservation scene that is going on. Please keep this particular background in your mind, it will be helping you. Now guys, what had happened? See, in 2019, government came out with the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Into this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, what happened? The government actually amended the article number 15 and article number 16. Within the article number 15, the article 15 subclause 6 was added, and within the article number 16, the article 16 subclause 6 were added. These two subclauses were added. And by this particular thing, what happened? The 10% reservation was extra 10% reservation was given to the economically weaker sections, EWS. It was said that the economically weaker section, they will be recognized on two criterias. Number one, it said that there will be the income criteria, fine, the incomes, 8 lakh rupees household income if it is there, more than 8 lakh rupees household income per year if it is there, they will not be the economical weaker sections. However, the households where the annual income is less than 8 lakh rupees, they will be the economically weaker sections. And second was the asset criteria. Into the asset criteria, we will see that how much agricultural land you are having, how much big house you were having, and all such kind of criterias were there. So onto the basis of asset as well as onto the basis of income. What is income? 8 lakh rupees per annum. It was decided that okay, people will be identified and they will be given an additional reservation of 10%, and these two clauses were added and they were called as economically weaker section. Now guys, by this particular thing, immediately, first of all, after this particular 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, a challenge was made into the Supreme Court. Why the challenge was made into the Supreme Court? It is because of this particular fact, guys. Read this particular background. What was held by the Indra Sahani judgment? Indra Sahani judgment held that the reservation should be 49.5% maximum. It should not go beyond this. The 50% should be the maximum reservation ruled by the Indra Sahani judgment. Now already 49.5% was there. You give additional 10%. What will be the total reservation? It will reach around 59.5%. So that 50% limit has been breached. So for this particular thing, number one, this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act was challenged into the court. That was going fine. Now guys, what had happened in this particular year, 2021, fine, the Supreme Court had again grilled the government onto this particular 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Now why? In 2021, again, the Supreme Court had grilled the government. Fine, the reason that comes here, please understand this. Now guys, what had happened? The Supreme Court has questioned the government that okay, when you gave the 10% additional reservation to the EWS category, you said that we will identify them onto the basis of income. What income you said? You said that 8 lakh rupees income per annum for the household. We will see and will determine it. Now guys, the Supreme Court had said that what is the logic of this 8 lakh rupees limit? How you identified this 8 lakh rupees limit? Did any survey? Was there any kind of an expert committee? How you decided this 8 lakh rupees limit? Moreover guys, the Supreme Court gave one more logic as well. What was the another logic given by the Supreme Court? Supreme Court said that see, we have the OBCs also. Within the OBCs, we have two type of OBCs. One are the creamy layer and other are the non-creamy layer. Now guys, the creamy layer OBCs, they are not given the advantage of reservation. Fine, they are not given the advantage of preference into the educational institution. However, the non-creamy layer, they are given the reservation into the jobs as well as into the educational institutions. And now, how you will determine that who is creamy layer and who is non-creamy layer? In determining the OBCs of creamy and non-creamy, there is again the income criteria. And what is income criteria there? There is also the income criteria of 8 lakh rupees. Now the Supreme Court said that you have used the same number for the which was there for OBCs for the EWS also. But we know that the OBCs, they face more social deprivation, they face more social discrimination. So fixing the same limit which was for the OBCs even for the EWS doesn't make a lot of sense. So you please tell us the logic by which you determine that this 8 lakh rupees limit will be there. So this is guys the entire issue that happened. Again, I'll repeat in 10 seconds. What was the problem? Problem was this: Supreme Court asked that that same 8 lakh rupees criteria is to determine the OBC's creamy layer, non-creamy layer, and the same 8 lakh rupees criteria is to determine the economically weaker section and not economically weaker section. What is your logic? How you came onto this particular thing? So this was happened. Now guys, what happened after this thing? So the Supreme Court grilled it into the month of October, and then the central government provided this particular thing that okay, we will constitute one particular committee and we'll see that okay, this 8 lakh rupees limit, whether it should be kept or it should be removed. This particular thing happened. Now guys, what had happened, the committee that was constituted, this committee has now released their final report. So now this particular thing comes here. So guys, from here we will actually be starting our article, and this particular entire background was needed in order to understand that what this particular present issue is all about. So what is this present issue? That now finally the report has been submitted. Now what this report now says onto this 8 lakh rupees limit, we'll understand this particular thing. So the government committee report, fine, it had said that this income, that income of 8 lakh rupees, it is a feasible criteria in defining the economically weaker section into the society. They had said that there is no problem into this 8 lakh rupees limit. They had given two logics for this particular thing. Number one logic that they had given is that the economically weaker section criteria relates only to the financial year prior to the year of application. Is it clear? Whereas income criteria for the creamy layer in OBCs is applicable to gross annual income for 3 consecutive years. Now guys, how the OBC 8 lakh rupees criteria and EWS 8 lakh rupees criteria is this? When let's say I am applying for the reservation into the EWS category, my just last year income will be seen. Is it clear? However, when I am let's say applying for the OBC non-creamy layer quota, my income for the last 3 years are to be seen. Is it clear? So basically a bigger horizon is given to the OBCs. Let's say in last 3 years, if a OBC household is earning 8 lakh rupees, we can see that yes, it has a little bit of a more stability. But let's say if you are just looking into 1 year, it might mean that okay, last year I might have some windfall profit, but let's say in long term financial stability might not be there still. So basically the OBCs are given more headroom, OBCs are given more leverage, because for them 3-year horizon is being seeked. So therefore the OBCs and them, there is not a big problem. Then the second logic that has been given, it is this, that what has been provided here, that into the C, I told you that the 8 lakh rupees criteria is there for both the OBCs as well as for the EWS. Now the committee had provided that when we talk about the OBC creamy layer, income from salaries, agriculture and traditional artisan professions are excluded. Is it clear? Let's say I am an OBC. Determining my household income, I can basically exclude the salary, agriculture and traditional artisan professions money that I earned from there. But when the EWS criteria or EWS category is to be seen, into them they have to include all the incomes, even the income that is coming from the farming. Is it clear? So therefore obviously what will happen, OBCs, they will have a little bit advantage. So therefore the OBCs, the social deprivation is being accounted as per the committee which had given its final report. So guys, into this particular thing, what had happened, the government had provided this particular thing, that this particular cap, 8 lakh rupees cap, is reasonable for the EWS quota. Moreover guys, there are some other prescriptions or some of other things also which have been talked about this particular panel. It had been said that this particular income limit of 8 lakh rupees will be retained. Already we have seen they have given two logic also. They had also said that EWS will exclude the household which are having the land of 5 acres and above. Is it clear? So here also the EWS will be excluded. Then they have said that the residential asset criteria might altogether be removed. Now let's understand what this particular point is. Now I told you that when this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act came, see this, when this 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act came, I provided you here that here the two criterias were there. One criteria was the criteria of income 8 lakh rupees, and another criteria was the criteria of asset. Is it clear? Into this asset criteria, your house into a municipality, what is the land plot, this particular criteria was also being seen. Now what this panel has recommended, this panel has recommended that this residential criteria from the EWS category needs to be removed, because it creates unnecessary confusion, and actually seeing which household is having a house big enough, fine, it is actually very tedious kind of exercise. So it has been said that this particular criteria needs to be altogether removed. Is it clear? Then this is the exciting thing. And secondly, it has been said that sudden adoption of a new criteria, okay, if you bring any new criteria, if we change this particular thing which is going on, it will disrupt this particular year's admission, this particular year's job allocations, etc. So immediately the Supreme Court should also not rule that okay, remove this particular thing. The committee had said that we found that there is no problem into this particular new system that has been there. So guys, this is all about this particular thing. And guys, this entire background, please keep it in your mind before approaching this particular news article. So it might look small, but it has a lot of implications. So that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood. Very important for our GS paper number 2. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, this particular article, guys, it can be used as a case study. It can be used as a case study, or it can be used as a reference in our GS paper number 2 as well as in GS paper number 4. Let's understand that how we can use this particular thing. So guys, this particular article, it is talking about the Yuva initiative. This Yuva initiative which has been taken by the Delhi police. Now, understand this, we'll understand this Yuva initiative in just a minute, but before that guys, let's understand some of the background information. See this particular thing, that when we talk about the police in India, we say this particular thing that police in India is insensitive. Police in India, it is insensitive, and always we see that the police in India, they have a kind of a colonial mindset, and the police in India, it doesn't represent itself as a service, rather it represents itself as a force. Understand these two terms, police as a force and police as a service, different meanings. Police as a service means that they want to help people. Police as a force means that they want to intimidate the people, they want to show their force, they want to show their power. Now, because of the colonial impinges that have been there, always the police has been seen as a force. Is it clear? However guys, and because of this particular thing, we say that in India we need to have a lot of police reforms. We need to bring the police reforms. We need to sensitize the police. We need to go for the psychological sensitization of the police, as well as we need to bring other reforms into the police also. Now guys, into this particular background, the Delhi police has become as a kind of a role model police. Why it has become a role model police? Because of this Yuva initiative of the Delhi police that has been there. Now let's understand this Yuva initiative, and Del will be connecting all the dots. So this Yuva initiative, here the people, the police, they identify the participants, they identify some of the adolescents, some of the children or the people who have the potential, but because of the poverty, because of some another kind of a thing, because of ignorance and all such kind of a thing, they are not able to upgrade their potential, they are not able to leverage their potential. So such people are identified and their potentials are leveraged, their skills are upgraded, so that these youth, they can stay away from the crime and they can earn their income from the dignified sources. Basically what the police had done, police had trained 14,000 youngsters who might go into the line which was against the law. So these 14,000 youngsters have been trained by the Delhi police under this Yuva skill training initiative, and 8,000 of the youths, they have secured the jobs such as the front office executives, field technicians, emergency medical providers, and they have even started their own ventures. Now the objective of this Yuva initiative is to contain the first time criminals. Now guys, see this particular thing. Let's say that there is a kid, he is, let's say, 14 years old. He is 14-year-old. Now if this particular kid is poor, if the parents are not educated, or let's say if he is an abandoned kid, he had a lot of strain, he has a lot of strain, and as per the strain theory, this particular kid might go into some crime, some deviant kind of activities, and because of that particular thing, issues of juvenile delinquency will increase. Fine, what will happen? The issues of juvenile delinquency will increase. Juvenile delinquency. What is this juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency means that juvenile who are within the conflict of the law. So this juvenile delinquency, if in the childhood they will do a crime, obviously later they will become even more hardened criminal. So therefore we need to avoid this juvenile delinquency so that in future they don't become the hardened criminal. And this is exactly the thing which is being done by the Yuva initiative. The Delhi police are identifying such youth, some such young people, and they are given a constructive skill so that they can contribute into the nation building, Now guys, this particular thing represents a kind of a model which needs to be imitated by the police of all the states as well as all the union territories. And it shows that the police, it is also going a kind of a cultural shift in terms of their mindset. I told you that the police has been plagued by the police force syndrome, but now this is not the police as a force. Here the police is representing itself as a service. So this Yuva initiative of Delhi police should be imitated by the other states also. A very good thing that has happened. Please do use it, and in the question of police reforms also you can give such kind of a reference. So that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and I hope that you will making a sense out of this. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, Delhi High Court allows women to terminate 28 weeks pregnancy. This particular article will be important for our GS paper number 2. Within the GS paper number 2, issues related to the social justice. Within the social justice, issues related to the women. Moreover, guys, this particular article will also be important under the rights issue. Under the rights issue. And within the rights, when we have the reproductive rights, there we can use it. So the reproductive rights of the women. Now, let's understand this particular news. But before, guys, we'll be understanding some of the background of this particular news. So what is this background? See, here into this particular article, one ethics angle can also be there. We'll see that also. Don't worry. So one ethics angle also will be seeing here. Clear. Now let's understand this background. So guys, this background goes like this, that there are the women who had conceived a child. Now the question comes of abortion. The women, she want to carry the child to the and might be willing to give the birth, but what about the question of abortion? Now guys, there are two viewpoints that come into this particular direction. Viewpoint number one, they said that no, abortion cannot be done, should not be done. Why? Because the fetus, it has its own life. And second is that no, abortion should be done because the women should be the deciding authority whether she wants to carry the child or not. So the question of abortion, it is a very sensitive kind of a question. Now guys, what is the approach that India has taken onto the abortion? So India had taken the middle path into the matter of abortion. What is this middle path that India had done? Actually, India came out with the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. Earlier, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 was there, but guys, this particular act got recently amended, and now we have the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 2020. Now, as per this latest Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, where the abortion are discussed, it is provided that up to 20 weeks, the women can go for the abortion if one of the medical practitioner, if one of the medical practitioner, if one of a doctor advises that carrying this pregnancy might put women into some kind of a danger, or there might be injury to the physical or mental health, or if the fetus that is there, he or she is not developing as per a normal child, then the pregnancy could be aborted up to 20 weeks if the opinion of one doctor is given. So by 20 weeks you can abort. After that, it has been provided that if the 20 week has been exceeded, then till 24 week also, if a woman wants, she can abort a child. And into this thing, what you need to do, you need to take the opinion of 2 registered medical practitioners. So up till 20 weeks you can abort by taking opinion of one. After 20, but till 24 week you can abort after taking the opinion of the 2 of the medical practitioners. This particular thing happened. Now guys, there was one of a women who had achieved the 28 week of pregnancy, and after this 28 week of pregnancy, it was revealed that the child which was conceived, it has a large number of abnormalities and a very severe heart condition that is there. And now the women approached the Delhi High Court. So what the Delhi High Court had provided, Delhi High Court had given a very sensitive judgment here and had said that the reproductive choice is a facet of the reproductive rights of a woman. Now, what is a reproductive choice here? Choice to carry the child or to not to carry the child, it is a reproductive choice. And this reproductive choice is a part of a reproductive right. And the reproductive right are protected under the article number 21 of the Indian Constitution, right to life and personal liberty. So under the right to life, these reproductive rights are there. And even the 28 weeks pregnancy was allowed to be terminated. Why? Because the fetus, I told you, the fetus was suffering from a rare congenital heart disease. So because of this particular disease, the pregnancy was terminated. Now guys, first of all, one thing I want to tell you very categorically, please don't go and read all about this particular disease that this child was suffering. I had seen that, okay, okay, now they will, the aspirants, they are going and reading about this particular disease, etc. Not important article for, not important thing for your examination. So he was suffering from a rare congenital heart disease, just that's it. Now here we can see this particular thing, guys, that what has happened, the Supreme Court, the Delhi High Court here had actually balanced the personal rights as well as what the law talks about. So basically a fine balance between the fundamental rights and between what provided by the law has been made. Now guys, when we talk about the spirit of the law needs to protect the basic rights of the citizens always. Now one ethics angle that I said that I will also be discussing here. Now guys, the ethics angle comes here, that it comes into the domain of the applied ethics. There are two schools that are there. One is the pro-choice, one is the pro-life, one is the pro-life. What is this pro-choice school and what is this pro-life school in terms of the matters of abortion? The pro-choice schools here says that the entire authority needs to be given to the women into the matters of abortion. If she wants to abort, let's say that if a pregnancy is even, let's say 30 weeks, 34 weeks, she should be allowed whenever she want to terminate. Then comes the pro-life debate. Into this pro-life debate, it has been said that the fetus, it has its own right. Fetus, now the fetus which is developing into a child, into a baby, it is in its own self an individual, and it has the capacity of a personhood. So therefore the fetus right cannot be ignored, and therefore women should not have the entire authority. Rather, the abortion should be controlled. Abortion should not be allowed. Is it clear? I told you that India had taken a middle path where up till 24 weeks we are allowing it, but after 24 weeks we are not allowing it. So guys, the ethical debate, which is more supreme, pro-choice or pro-life, there cannot be one answer into this particular direction. Is it clear or not? That is the thing that has come. Moreover guys, one more ethical keyword that I want to tell you, you can use here. See, libertarians. Now these libertarians, now the libertarians are actually the people who talk about the liberties, freedom, fine, the choice. Now the libertarians, they have supported this pro-choice viewpoint. Is it clear? However, the paternalist, now the paternalist said that no, the state has the power, that it can control, it can restrict your personal liberty, your personal freedom. And these paternalists, they have supported the pro-life and had said that no, the state should control, that the women should not be allowed for abortion. So this is guys one more angle that comes into this particular direction. I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. State schemes can cast a lifeline to this welfare plan. Now what this particular article is all about, this particular article guys will be important for our GS paper number 2. Within the GS paper number 2, social justice, this particular article will again be important. Developmental schemes, guys, in your GS paper number 2, very clearly the line has been mentioned that the developmental schemes and their evaluation. Now here into this particular thing, we will be talking about one of a scheme, that is the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Now what this particular scheme is, guys, this particular scheme here, the cash transfer is provided to the pregnant and the lactating mothers. Now see, when we talk about the India, guys, in India we have the maternal mortality rate MMR of 113 per 1 lakh live births. It means that in 1 lakh live births, 113 mothers, they die while they are delivering the child. Now into this particular thing, guys, the government had come out with the centrally sponsored schemes. Now under this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, cash incentive of 5,000 rupees is provided directly to the women, either through the bank account or to the post office account. For the first living child, this particular support of 5,000 rupees per mother will be given. Now guys, this incentive is distributed into this particular way that there will be the 3 installments into which the incentive will be distributed. 3 installments will be there. Installment number 1, 1,000 rupees will be given. When these 1,000 rupees will be given onto the registration of pregnancy, fine. Then second installment of 2,000 rupees will be given after the 6 months, and then the third installment of 2,000 rupees will be given after the birth of the child. So this is the support that is given. Now guys, why this particular support is being given? Number 1, the health seeking behavior into the women will be reinforced. This particular thing, guys, we have seen that many a times the women, they are not able to maintain adequate nutrition, they are not able to uptake adequate food, and because of that particular thing also the complication into the pregnancy develops. So that is the thing. Then other many things are also there. So health seeking behavior will be reinforced by the money that is being given. Moreover guys, second thing is that basically in India still we see large number of non-institutional births are there. People are, or the women are not going to the hospital. Now if you see, if these 5,000 rupees are being given here guys, we have provided that number one, what has to be happen, the registration of pregnancy at the Anganwadi center is to be done. Now obviously when the registration will happen at the Anganwadi center, the Anganwadi workers can nudge the women that onto the birth she had to go to a hospital. So what will happen by this particular thing, when the women will be tagged, they will go to the hospital and the institutional deliveries will be there, and by the institutional deliveries what will happen, the maternal mortality will go down. Fine. Second guys, it will also help to compensate for the wage loss. When the woman is delivering a child for many days, she cannot go to the work, so this wage loss will also be compensated by this 5,000 rupees that has been there. Now guys, it has been said that though the objective of this particular scheme is very much good, but the implementation has not been good, and into this direction there are certain improvements that are needed into this particular scheme. Now what are the improvements that are there? Number one, there is a lot of exclusion error. Understand this exclusion error. It is provided that guys, actually the eligible population of pregnant and lactating mothers in India was 128.7 lakh in 2017-18. Just keep it like 128 lakhs were there, or 129 lakh was there in 2017-18. But guys, as per the target that was set by the government, how many women were to be covered? 51.7 lakh beneficiaries were to be covered. You see that this is just 40% of the eligible population. The 60% of the population is not being covered. So the exclusion error 60% is there. It means that these many women have not been targeted. So a lot of exclusion error is there into the scheme, and actually the scheme is not reaching to all the intended beneficiaries. This is one problem. Then guys, the second problem is the problem of the dropout. It has been provided that actually the scheme had witnessed a downward fall in the last 2 years. Less and less number of women are enrolling under the scheme. This is the issue. It has been provided that 50 in 2021 more than 50% of registered beneficiaries did not receive all the 3 installments. Some are receiving 2 installments, some are receiving 1 installment. So the dropout rate, fine. Number one, the women dropping out after 1 or 2nd installment, it is high. Secondly, in absolute number also, the less women are coming into this particular scheme. Then there is a problem of the budgetary allocation. Now what is this budgetary allocation problem? Basically the government is allocating less and less budget to this particular scheme. It has been provided that the budget for women and child development was reduced by 20% for 2021-2022. Moreover guys, the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, it has also been slashed and clubbed under the Samarthya. Now what is this Samarthya? Let's understand this particular thing. Now see, there is the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Now guys, the Ministry of Women and Child Development had decided that the umbrella schemes for the women will be merged under 3 umbrella terms. There will be the Mission Shakti, which will be for the women empowerment. There will be the Mission Poshan, fine, and then there will be the Mission Vatsalya. So guys, under basically the Mission Shakti, there is a Samarthya, and within the Samarthya, the schemes such as the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao is there, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana is there, and many other schemes are there. So basically, the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana has been clubbed under the Samarthya, which is again under the Mission Shakti. Now guys, under the Samarthya, what has been there? The budget has actually been very much less. It has been provided that the entire budget of this Samarthya is 2,522 crore, and earlier just the budget of the Pradhan Mantri Matra Vandana Yojana is around 2,500 crore. So what has happened? Now what is budget for this entire umbrella scheme? That was the budget for only one Pradhan Mantri Matra Vandana Yojana. So in total, the money that will be allocated for this one scheme, that is the Pradhan Mantri Matra Vandana Yojana, this particular scheme, it will be reduced. So obviously many of the women cannot be targeted. So this is the problem that has come. Now guys, here we can learn a very good lesson from the state governments. Now the state governments are doing very much good here. Now here we have the example of the Odisha, Telangana and Tamil Nadu. Now the Odisha, it is having the Mamta scheme. Now the Mamta, it stands for Maternity Entitlement Scheme. Then in the Telangana, there is a KCR kit. Into the KCR kit, the items such as the baby soap, baby oil, mosquito net, baby dresses, etc. are provided. Then there is the Dr. Muthu Lakshmi Reddy Maternity Benefit Scheme, where some of the additional benefits are being provided. Now guys, here it has been provided that when we talk about this Mamta scheme, which is being run by the Odisha government, into the Mamta scheme, we see that 57% increase in women has been happened. Fine, 57% increase in beneficiaries had happened, but at the same time, time, when we talked about the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, there is a drop of 52%. So into the national level scheme, central scheme, there is a dropout, but into the state level scheme, there is a increase in beneficiary. It shows that the Odisha government is going for a better targeting and better it is reaching to the mother. So we can learn from the Odisha government. Then guys, the next thing that has been provided here is that basically the central government need to improve in line with the Odisha government scheme. Such of the way forwards or way ahead are there into this particular direction that we can learn. And this way ahead, they are going into this particular direction. See, when we talk about this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, it is a scheme which had introduced after the another scheme, that was the Indira Gandhi Matritva Sahyog Yojana. So after this Indira Gandhi Matritva Sahyog Yojana, a successor, this scheme has been launched. But guys, under the Indira Gandhi Matritva Sahyog Yojana, the benefit were given for two live birth. Now under this scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, how many live birth we are giving benefit? Only one live birth. So you please increase these two live birth to up to two live births. That is one suggestion that can be given. Second, moreover, it will be helpful for the women into the unorganized sector. Is it clear? Second thing that has been provided, that we need to revisit the maternity benefit amount. 5,000 rupees are being provided. We need to revisit it, and more than 5,000, let's say 8,000, 10,000 should be given. After that guys, next thing that has been provided is that there is a lack of awareness, targeted beneficiaries are not there. Fine, so this particular thing is to be done. Moreover guys, a simplification of process can be done. Now if the women wants to have the benefit under this particular scheme, large number of formalities are there. The mother and child protection card is to be prepared, then the husband's Aadhaar card, bank passbook, registration form, fine, many such kind of things are there, and for every installment this entire process is repeated. So therefore simplification of process will also bring a large number of women, particularly the women who are not educated. Then the next problem that comes here is that guys, so not the problem, the next thing that is there is that when we talk about the sustainable developmental goals, into the sustainable developmental goal, again the target of the MMR etc has been mentioned. If we need to reach it, we need to focus more onto the reachability, and into this direction we can draw the lessons from the Odisha government, which had carried this particular scheme in a very good kind of a manner. So this is guys the entire thing that has come into this particular direction. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. From selective to universal engagement. Now this article could be relevant for our GS paper number 2, issues related to the international relation. Now it is talking about the foreign policy of India in 2021. So India's foreign policy in 2021, the snapshot has been given. So let's take this particular article, what it has talked about. So guys, see, it is not talking about any one particular kind of a country. It is giving a kind of a general snapshot of the entire foreign policy. Now, basically 2021, we have seen that the Indian diplomacy was characterized by a readiness to deal with the friends and the foes alike. Fine, we have reached to both the friends as well as foes. However, the manner in which we approached to them was obviously different. So basically there was a hyper activism in Indian foreign policy that was seen. Number one, in 2021, when the e-diplomacy, electronic diplomacy was into the force, India was physically visiting to many of the countries, many of the friends, many of the allies. Into this direction, the Minister of External Affairs had visited many of the countries. Now, what are the foreign policy trends in 2021? Number one, guys, the pandemic. It has brought a bad name onto the India, onto the international stage. What had happened? Number one, when we talk about the India has been called as the pharmacy of the world. But during this particular pandemic, there was exposure of inefficient India's health system. There was the pictures of the funeral pyres. There was the picture people not getting the oxygen, etc. And this particular thing had weakened the credibility of India onto the international stage. Is it clear? So this is the one impact that came onto the foreign policy. Second thing is that, guys, the 2021 was preoccupied to get disengagement with the China into the Ladakh sector. However, guys, limited success have been there, because still there are many of the important points from which the China has not withdrawn back. So here also the India was not very much successful. Then the third thing, guys, that was there, it was the Afghanistan issue. Now the Afghanistan became a very big crisis. Now, guys, the Taliban came into power into the Kabul. Moreover, guys, the India was seen that India is defending the America's interest into the entire region. So this particular thing has also brought some kind of a problem. After that, guys, the next thing that has been there is that basically bringing some civility into the Kabul was the high priority area. Fine. Now guys, into this particular thing, the Prime Minister of India as well as the Minister of External Affairs, they have used every platform that was there in order to appease, in order to persuade the countries that please give some humanitarian assistance, please bring some civility into the Afghanistan. So into this particular thing, when India was persuading the entire world, India has been seen in a positive light. So this is the thing that has happened. After that guys, the climate change, fine, and the United Nations reforms were also the big agendas in 2021. Onto the climate change, what had happened, India had committed that the net zero emission norms will be adopted by 2070. Fine. Moreover guys, India also succumbed to the pressure to commit more on promoting renewable energy and phasing down of coal. We also agreed that yes, we'll phase down the coal and we will promote more renewable energy also. Now if we see onto the ethical ground, it looks good that India is taking more and more responsibility, but guys, it is also seen that India has actually went under the pressure of the developed countries. Fine, that is the thing. However, onto the United Nations reform, nothing concrete came into this particular direction. Then India's engagement with the US increased, and we went beyond the familiarization. Familiarization is just that we were acquaintances. No, rather than the familiarization, we actually made a very kind of a deep rooted engagement with the USA. No guys, India also increased its commitment with the Quad. Fine. India also accepted the AUKUS. AUKUS is the Australia, UK, US trilateral agreement where the UK and the USA will be providing the nuclear capable submarine to the Australia. So this AUKUS was also accepted by India. Fine. Western Quad was also there. What is this Western Quad? In Western Quad, there are the four countries, that is the USA, Israel, UAE, and India. So into the Western Quad also, the USA and India have been aligned together. So basically the deepening of relation between the India and USA also happened. Then the next thing that is coming here is that we engaged with the China at the level of commander diplomat. Fine. However, dialogue did not brought anything. Fine. Already earlier also we have seen this thing. With the Russia also, the engagement had deepened. Why? Because of this S-400 missile system. Now guys, the USA threatened for the Katsa that if India will buy the equipment from the Russia, that is the S-400 system, there will be the Katsa that will be slapped on India. But India did not got deterred, and India carried onto their deal with the Russia, and this particular thing has also increased the warmth of a relation between the two countries. Then India also attended the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting, where there was a subgroup that was led by the China, and basically the China's decision, China's kind of a hegemony prevailed into this SCO summit. Fine. Moreover guys, India also attended the Russia, China and India meet. Fine. Then into the last, what happened, there was a foreign secretary's visit to the Myanmar. Now the foreign secretary, he visited to Myanmar. Now this particular thing already guys, I think we have taken it 2-3 times. Now this particular thing was seen not in a very positive light. It was also said that when the democratic government had been crippled by the Myanmar, why India is reaching to the Myanmar. But obviously India reached to the Myanmar because it wanted to prevent China from having a field in Myanmar. So that is the issue that has been there. So therefore guys, when we talk about the India, the extraordinary effort that have been made by India have not been very fruitful into the cases of China and Afghanistan. Is it clear? Basically China has not shown willingness to disengage into the Afghanistan. However guys, we see that with respect to the China, the things will get normalized when this domestic politics will be little bit reduced. Now into this domestic politics, I already told you that the Xi Jinping, he is expecting new tenure. Fine. And for that particular thing, he is also showing too much of aggression. Now once he will attain his presidentship, obviously we can expect that little bit normalcy between the India and China relation will be coming. So this is the thing that has happened. Fine. After that guys, when we talk about the Afghanistan, fine, with respect to the Afghanistan also, we are expecting that now we are openly accepting the Taliban, we are openly talking with the Taliban, and we are expecting that the Taliban basically don't endanger the region, and basically it becomes little bit more accommodative of the India's need as well. So these are guys the entire things that have happened, entire snapshot. And guys, I believe that if you read this entire article as we have discussed, fine, if you pay attention on to this, find that revision of entire year's major development you can do. That is about it. And now we'll move to the next article. Now the crypto asset conundrum. See guys, the cryptocurrencies, fine, the cryptocurrencies are the currencies which are basically the cryptocurrencies, they are the one which are maintained onto the basis of a cryptographic cube that is there at the back end. We have the many of the cryptocurrencies, such as the Bitcoin is one of a cryptocurrency. In India, large number of cryptocurrencies are being traded, they are being bought, they are being sold. Then there comes the crypto asset. Now the crypto assets are certain assets which are backed by the cryptocurrency. Now guys, what government had said? Government had said that we will bring a law to regulate these crypto assets. Fine, we will bring a law to regulate these crypto assets. So because of that particular thing, a lot of speculation and such kind of a thing are going on. Fine. Now guys, when we talk about this particular article had made some of a generalistic assumptions onto the cryptocurrencies. Fine. And guys, as the government had not come out with a final decision into this particular direction, till then a lot of speculations etc will be coming. And but once the government policy will come into this particular direction, these things will not make a lot of sense. So I will suggest to you that guys, with respect to the examination, this article is not that much important because the government's final decision is still awaited. Fine. Moreover guys, the article, it is written in a little bit of a generalistic sense, so academic substance is not there. However, if you want, you can read this particular article at your own for the leisure purpose. So fine, this is just about this thing, so not very much relevant. Now moving to the next article. Telangana tops open defecation free plus list. So guys, you know, we have Swachh Bharat mission. Into the Swachh Bharat mission, we want to achieve the cleanliness as well as we want to reduce the open defecation, and thirdly, we also want to enhance the solid waste management in India. Is it clear? Now guys, when we talk about the Swachh Bharat mission, under the Swachh Bharat mission, the villages, the towns, the cities, they are given certain statuses, and we have the ODF status, open defecation free status. We have ODF, we have ODF plus, and we also have the ODF plus plus. Is it clear? Now here the Telangana has been talked about. So basically guys, the Telangana, it had topped the ODF plus list. Fine. Now out of the 14,200 villages into the Telangana, 13,737 they had performed and they have received the ODF plus tag. The ODF plus tag they have received. Now what is this ODF plus tag and what is this ODF plus plus tag? Let's see this particular thing. So the ODF plus and ODF plus plus, they are aimed towards proper maintenance of toilet facilities, safe collection of the waste, fine proper disposal of the fecal waste, etc. Number one, we have ODF plus. What is the ODF? Number one guys, I hope that the ODF is clear. Open defecation free, it means that no person is seen defecating into the open. That is the ODF free status. After the ODF free come the ODF plus. The ODF plus means that whether the adequate number of toilets are there with the water, toilets with the water are there or not, maintenance of the toilet is proper or not, and the hygiene is being adopted by the people or not. So the toilet with water, maintenance of such toilets, and hygiene. Onto this parameter, the region or a city or a village is given the ODF plus tag. After that guys, we have the ODF plus plus. What is this ODF plus plus? It focuses onto the toilet. It needs to be there with the water, and the sludge maintenance needs to be there. The toilet need to be connected with the sewage. There needs to be a septage management, a septic tank, etc. needs to be there where this waste, fecal waste is being treated, it is being managed. So then we have the ODF plus plus. So what this particular article is talking about? This article, it is talking about the ODF plus under the Swachh Bharat mission Gramin. So guys, within the Swachh Bharat mission also, you know that there are the two components: Swachh Bharat mission rural, Swachh Bharat mission urban. Into the Swachh Bharat mission rural or the Swachh Bharat mission Gramin, the villages are surveyed. So what this was? This was the Swachh Bharat mission Gramin or the Swachh Bharat mission rural, and into this Telangana had topped. Fine. So this is guys about this particular thing. Please keep this ODF and ODF plus plus in your mind, what it means. That is all about this particular article. Apart from that, nothing is there into this article. Now we'll move to the next article. And guys, this particular thing could be used as a reference in your some of your answer, as well as in prelims exam. This ODF and ODF plus plus could be important. So that is all about it. Now, the draft National Air Sports Policy has been discussed. Now see guys, first of all, this particular article, you need to have just a generalistic understanding. This air sports policy, very two direct kind of a questions are not expected from such kind of a line. Fine. So just a journalistic understanding will help you. This particular article will be important for our GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2. Now, what had happened, guys? First of all, the air sports, fine, the parasailing, etc. These are the air sports that are there. Now, guys, in India, these air sports, they have basically they people are accepting that. Why? Because the disposable income of the people had increased, and now the people can pay for such kind of a sporting activities. And into this, because of this particular thing, many of the states, particularly the states of Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, they are hosting a large number of these air sports activity. Is it clear? But guys, up till now, a specific law onto this air sports activity was not there. Now what has happened? The government had come out with a draft national air sports policy, which will regularize all these air sports. It will cover the activities like the aerobatics, ballooning, paragliding, micro lighting, etc. All these things will be covered. Now guys, it has been provided that all the organizations or all the entities that are providing all these services such as the ballooning, paragliding, all such kind of things, they need to register their equipment. Moreover guys, the equipment providing agencies also, let's say that there is an agency which is providing such parachutes for the air sporting activity, so these equipment providers also, they need to register with the government, and they have to pay for the penalties if in case some kind of a mishap happens. So let's say you are doing some kind of a paragliding, and into that paragliding your equipment, it gets failed, then that equipment provider had to pay the liability, and even the organization that was conducting this particular entire activity, they can also be liable to the penalties. It has been provided that the two-tier governance structure will be created. What is this two-tier governance structure? Number one, at the apex, at the top, there will be the Air Sports Federation of India. Under this Air Sports Federation of India, any person providing such service has to register, and then there will be the association for each air sports. So as we see here, that guys, let's say that there is aerobatics, there is ballooning, for every these activity there will be a separate body that will be there where the registration has to be done. Now guys, this ASFI, that is the Air Sports Federation of India, it will be an autonomous body under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and it will be representing India also. Fine. Now this is guys the entire issue into this particular direction, but no need to go too much into these particular things. Just a generalistic understanding onto this particular thing will be more than sufficient. So that is all guys about this particular article. And guys, with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. I hope that you have understood this particular article, and I hope that you are able to make the sense of such kind of things. So that is all guys. If you have liked, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.